Hello everyone, Morris here, and today I'm bringing you a update on the start of Season 6, which is happening very soon, less than 24 hours time by the time I record this, and probably by the time you watch it, it might have already started. So it's gonna be on the 4th of October, that's when the Season 6 starts, and there has been quite a bit of updates in terms of both the AXS rewards, but also some very small balance changes. So let's just get into it. Yeah, here's really the gist of it, but I'm just gonna quickly go through. First of all, actually, is actually the changes of the eras. So now actually we are back to 4 eras, with each era still 2 weeks, except for the Mystic era, which is only 7 days. Right, but then we have a final era, which is 14 days. So pretty interesting change. So that just means the whole season will be a bit longer, right? So instead of 42 days, it will be 49 days, so 7 weeks. Okay, so in terms of the AXS rewards changes, so the overall rewards has actually not changed, right? In the sense that the overall AXS rewards for every player is the same, but the distribution definitely has changed. So they take away some from the leaderboard, so that's like one big chunk, I would say. And also they take away a bit from the fortune chest, which, to be fair, I'm pretty fine with. And they put more into contests, so that just means there'll be more of an incentive for people to play in contests. But of course, for casual players who are not really, like want to grind the contest, then like they might not benefit from it. And there is like quite a bit of the AXS goes to the collectible Axie bonus chest, meaning if you actually have collectible Axies and you play the game, then you actually will get some reward. So this is quite a big win, to be honest, for the collectible Axies, and that just means there'll be more incentive for people to buy collectible Axies. Okay, so let's just look deeper into the leaderboard kind of rewards system, and basically, you can see numbers a bit small. Of course, you can just check out the blog post for more details. I think this one is probably the better one to show, and this is really about the difference between season 6 and season 5, and you can see the top 2 to 5, right? Players actually get more, like in season 6 than in season 5, but if I scroll down here, then you can see that for everyone below 225, you start to earn less compared to last season. In particular, if you don't get to the top 10k, then you basically get zero rewards. So now only the top 10,000 players will get rewards in terms of the leaderboard. Of course, you can still get rewards from like fortune chest, that kind of thing, or from events, but from the leaderboard, if you don't rank top 10k, you won't get anything. So that is a pretty big change, I would say. And even for like semi-casual players who are a bit serious, but not the pros, obviously, right? Then they mostly will fall well within, like myself included, like within the bracket of below 225, but obviously like above 10k, right? So these are the players that are also pretty affected in terms of just their AXS rewards, because yeah, it's like you get about 20, like for some even close to 40% decrease in the rewards that you'll get. So it is pretty significant, and this will definitely like shift the player mentality, which I'll talk about in a bit. Before that, I do want to show that other than the rewards that are shown, there's also additional rewards for the top 8 player to fight for more AXS. Obviously, this is irrelevant for most players except 8 in this case. So yeah, so this is really not too relevant for everyone else. Okay. Yeah, one thing I do want to talk about is like how this change of top-heavy rewards will, I think, shift the player mentality or the psychology, in the sense of, for me as a casual player, I know that I'm going to earn less next season from the rewards. Then it's more likely that I'll probably spend less, like compared to last season, just because, right, like it might not be worth to invest as much if you are not expecting to get as much back. So there's definitely like some psychology there. Of course, not every player, like are expecting financial and monetary rewards from the game, right? Some players really just want to enjoy playing the game, and to be fair, I would say I'm one of those players who I just want to enjoy the game. But of course, at the back of your mind, you will still think about, oh, okay, so this season gonna learn less, so maybe I should just spend a bit less on it. So there's still some decisions to be made in terms of making purchases, and yeah, and I think that's just normal, and I think this is what will going to happen, but we'll see once we will get into the season and see how the market and how the players react. Okay, there are also like events, contests, and stuff like that, which I'm not going to go through. But the main one that I do want to talk about is the collectible Axie holders and players with collectible Axies. If they reach certain ranks at a certain era, and if you hold a certain um, collectible Axies and they have developed different tiers, then you get a particular chess, and I think it's only by the highest rank. So let's say if you have a mystic, if you're origin or something, you probably only get the mystic. But it does have quite a lot of the AXS, I would say, especially for mystic. For this is Japanese, which is probably one of the lowest. AXS rewards you get like 50 to 200. That is like MAXS. That just means it's like 0.05 to 0.2 AXS, which to be fair is really not too much. But it's something. So it's kind of incentivized people to get some of these collectible axes, especially the more expensive ones, I would say. So yeah, I think I see this as more just like keeping collectible axes player happy. That's how I see it. And probably again irrelevant for most other players who are more casual and don't have any collectible axes. And even if you have like a um, summer Axie, it doesn't really count, right? It's only shiny. And even if you have a Japanese Axie, yeah, you only get like 0.2 maximum, so that's like really not too much. Here's the more detail on the percentages in terms of the probability of what you get. So yeah, really not too much, I would say, especially for Japanese or even shiny. Of course, Mystic you'll get quite a bit, but having said that, right, Mystic you still only get 10 AXS maximum, and given how expensive Mystic is a very small fraction, I must say, compared to the price. So it's really not about getting new player to get one of these collectibles. It's more just rewarding existing collectible Axis holder. That's how I see it. Okay, so let's just get into the game mechanic changes and the balance changes. The biggest one, obviously, is this one: additional card draw. Only happens after the second energy burst. So, well, they originally changed it to after the first energy burst, you get an additional card draw, and that I think is probably too much, too powerful, and make a lot of decks too consistent, and that's why now they change it back to the original, which is only get the additional card draw after second energy burst, which I think is a good change for sure. This just means I think the curse cards teams like Jinx and like Hot Butt and stuff and Confused maybe even they will definitely be more effective compared to getting a digital card draw from a first. Maybe with the exception of Jinx, just because your opponent will get more Jinx faster. But if you have faster and draw, but now yeah, like I say for Confuse, right, you might still be able to lock your opponent into just drawing 5 cards and drawing 5 confused cards and locking them into that particular draw cycle. So I think it's a good change for Curse. And I think in general, aggro and combo teams are definitely more affected by this change. Just because aggro and combo teams are more reliant on just drawing cards and getting specific cards, whereas like more controlling, more defensive teams like I guess Sleep, Curse, Sustain even, right, are less affected just because they just play cards. It doesn't have to be in a very specific order. So yeah, that definitely changes up a bit. And yeah, I think it is a good change just because it probably will keep the diversity of the meta a bit more, just because Otherwise, I feel like there will just be a lot of ramp and aggro and combo teams, and you might not see those more controlly teams. Okay, then let's just talk about the bleed, ramp, and bubbles. I think these are the three things that people really worried a lot about. Bubbles is already very strong last season. Ramp is, this kind of getting there, and bleed is just, well, it wasn't there last season, but they've just buffed it so much that it's crazy. So first one, Chubby. Chubby now goes from 6 stacks to 5 stacks now, which to be fair I mean it is some small change, but I don't think it's enough, I must say, because it's still an AoE 5 stacks. It's still way too much. It's still way too sticky just because it applies on every single Axie. Um, of course, it will nudge the power level slightly lower, but for teams without any cleanse, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. And then the next one, Nemo ear. So yeah, the only change is really the shield go from 65 to 60, which is just like 5 shield. Yeah, it's really, I would say, a laughable nerf in a way, just because sure, it might nudge the win rate down by a very, very, very small part, but ultimately, ramp is still very strong with the new energy burst kind of mechanic where you only require 12 energy fragments to get to the first energy burst. Yeah, this is gonna be pretty strong, and I think, yeah, like Nemo ears plus tail is gonna be like be able to enable a lot of archetypes. So here I listed some, like Perch. That is a big one. Sandals, you probably see quite a bit as well. Bubble bombs, and even Tiny Fan, or maybe even Sustain. I'm thinking even more about like Snake Jar or Goo, that kind of thing might make it just because Nemo is so strong. Yeah, just be able to gain the energy advantage so early on, may be able to enable different type of archetype. Having said that, uh, it's unfortunate that that just means for teams that do not run Nemo, then it's going to be quite hard. Especially I'm thinking about lower level teams where like like most of the axes might not be very optimal. Then obviously having an energy advantage very early on is just going to be so much stronger. Like assuming that the rest of the teams are pretty much not optimal, then if you just have an extra energy every turn, it's just going to be so much stronger. So yeah, I think Nemo is going to be everywhere, I feel. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere on the leaderboard from the very top probably to the bottom. Well, you probably won't see them at the bottom just because they'll climb it pretty fast. Yeah. Okay, and then Sponge turn change from 35 to 30. Shield, again, very small change. I can still see Sponge being very strong, especially with the ramp being so strong with Nemo. And Sponge usually run Nemos anyway, so yeah, it's just gonna be pretty strong. And yeah, that's all I can say. So then, okay, very small changes with the rest as well. So, okay, this one is actually not that small. If you play Momo, you'll be pretty sad in the sense that the Death Shower, right, goes from 25, I guess, so-called back to 20. So, of course, it has been reworked. So, it always deals 5 hits now. Okay, so going from 25 to 20 literally means losing 25 damage, which is pretty significant. Sure, it's a 2 energy card, but like, any card losing 25 damage is a pretty significant loss or nerf, loss in power in that sense. So I assume this is done just to prevent like having another era where Momo is everywhere. They probably just don't want that to happen. But yeah, a bit sad for Momo players, but I think it's still going to be usable. Let's put it that way. And maybe even some people might be able to use it to make it to the top 1,000 or maybe even further up. For the mirrors, so the red, blue, and green mirrors now go from 5 pp to now 4 pp, so it's obviously very good, especially for lower ranks player with like less optimal axes and also for collectible players. That's because now you have one extra pp to play with to equip other charms, so definitely a win there. I think it's pretty good. And even though I don't think it will affect the highest level, yeah, but yes, very good for everyone else, I think. So that's good. Cuckoo. Okay, so for Cuckoo, just a very small change, really technical change. I can see it that way is just so that it's consistent with the change of the cleanser and cleanse mechanic. Or actually more like dispel, sorry, yeah, the dispel mechanic. Just because now it grants one status of cocoon there with 5 stacks, and each stack is 15 bonus, so the total bonus is still 75. It's just that if you have dispel and the dispel is less than 5 stacks, then you will still have some cuckoo remaining, so you will still have some bonus damage remaining. So in a way, it's kind of like a small buff, just because now a lot of the dispel, well, typically dispel is 3, right? Of course, you have Oranda that buff to 5, but still, yeah, it's like unless you're facing Oranda or something, right? Otherwise, you might still have some cuckoo stacks left. So that in that sense, it is a bit of a buff. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Well, at the time of recording, of course, when the season starts, they might like before that they might have some more changes that I don't know yet. One thing I should talk about is I should scroll back to the top here, where I really should talk about the changes. Where is it? Okay, so I think it's here. So do note that once the season starts, they won't be able to change any cards of the non-starter axis. They did change cards in the starter axis during the season, but they should not, change any cards of the non-starter axis during the season, right, once the season starts. Okay? And also the non-starter runes and charms that are released during that particular era. Let's say for a rare era, then once the rare era starts, they shouldn't be able to change the non-starter axis rare runes and charms. Of course, they can always make changes in terms of bug fixes, but other than that, they shouldn't be able to make balance changes. That just means they can still make changes to starter axis card, runes, charms, and the runes and charms that are not released, meaning they can still change the epic runes and the mystic runes and charms and during the rare era. Right? It's only when they're released then they can't change it. So do take note of that, so that you don't make your decision just based on the current information, just because they can still change things. So it's only when the season starts, then I would suggest you go in and and start thinking about the theory crafting more. Okay, I think that's pretty much it, really. I just hope that we won't have like a so-called Nemo Infinity. I can imagine that Nemo ramp is just so strong, and maybe a lot of the lower level player even, right, will just hop onto the train of just getting Nemos, and so that they can just get the energy advantage early. So yeah, so let's hope that we won't get a season that's overrun by Nemo, and yeah, then hopefully it'll be a good season. And yeah, wish you all the best with the start of season 6. Good luck, have fun in the arena, and I'll see you in the next video.